The mind, the prison house of thoughts. The mind, the prison house of thoughts, could be an intriguing exploration of how our mental processes, beliefs, and perceptions can both confine and liberate us. This topic touches on psychology, philosophy, and perhaps even spirituality. Here are some potential angles to consider. Exploring the mind. The prison house of thoughts, from a psychological perspective, involves understanding how our mental processes can confine us, the conditions that exacerbate this confinement, and the methods to break free. Here's a detailed outline to consider. Cognitive distortions. Definition. Cognitive distortions are irrational thought patterns that can reinforce negative thinking and emotions. Types of cognitive distortions. Catastrophizing. Expecting the worst possible outcome in any situation. Black and white thinking. Viewing situations in extremes without recognizing any middle ground. Overgeneralization. Making broad interpretations based on a single event. Mental filtering. Focusing exclusively on the negative aspects of a situation and ignoring the positive. Anxiety and depression. Thought cycles and anxiety. How anxious thoughts can become a self-perpetuating cycle, leading to chronic worry and fear. Intrusive thoughts. Unwanted thoughts that can cause significant distress. Avoidance behaviors. Efforts to avoid situations that might trigger anxiety, which can reinforce the anxiety. Thought cycles and depression. How depressive thoughts can trap individuals in a cycle of hopelessness and helplessness. Negative self-talk. Internal dialogue that is overly critical and pessimistic. Rumination. Continuously thinking about the same distressing thoughts, which can worsen depression. Therapeutic interventions. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Identifying distortions. Helping individuals recognize and challenge their cognitive distortions. Reframing. Encouraging more balanced and rational thinking. Behavioral activation. Engaging in activities that can improve mood and break the cycle of negative thinking. Mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT. Mindfulness practices. Techniques that encourage individuals to observe their thoughts without judgment. Decentering. Learning to see thoughts as temporary and not necessarily reflective of reality. Additional psychological constructs. Learned helplessness. Definition. A state where individuals feel they have no control over their situation, often leading to passive and defeated behavior. Impact. How this mindset can prevent individuals from taking action to improve their circumstances. Self-efficacy. Definition. The belief in one's ability to influence events and outcomes. Improving self-efficacy. Techniques to build confidence and a sense of control over one's life. Practical applications. Daily practices. Journaling. Writing down thoughts to identify patterns and gain perspective. Positive affirmations. Using positive statements to challenge and overcome negative thoughts. Seeking professional help. Therapists and counselors. How professional guidance can assist in navigating and transforming negative thought patterns. Support groups. The role of community and shared experiences in breaking free from mental prisons. This framework provides a comprehensive look at how psychological factors contribute to the concept of the mind as a prison and offers strategies for breaking free. Would you like to explore any of these areas in more detail? Exploring the mind. The prison house of thoughts, from a philosophical perspective, involves delving into how our beliefs, perceptions, and concepts about existence and reality can both limit and liberate us. Here's a detailed outline. Existentialism. Core concepts. Existence precedes essence. The belief that individuals create their own meaning and essence through their actions. Freedom and responsibility. The idea that with freedom comes the burden of creating one's own values and purpose. Mental confinement. Absurdity. The conflict between humans' desire to find inherent meaning and the silent, indifferent universe. Angst and despair. The realization of one's absolute freedom and the weight of responsibility it brings. Liberation. Authenticity. Living in accordance with one's true self and values, despite external pressures. Choice and action. Embracing the freedom to make choices and take actions that define one's essence. Determinism versus free will. Determinism. Definition. The belief that all events, including human actions, are determined by preceding events in accordance with the natural laws. Mental prison. feeling trapped by the idea that one's actions and thoughts are predestined and beyond control. Free will. Definition: the ability to choose between different possible courses of action unimpeded. Liberation. Believing in free will can empower individuals to take control of their lives and decisions. Compatibilism. Definition: the belief that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive and can coexist. Practical implications. Understanding that while some aspects of life are determined, individuals still have the capacity to make meaningful choices. Eastern philosophical perspectives. Buddhism. Attachment and suffering. The idea that attachment to desires and thoughts leads to suffering. Mindfulness and enlightenment. Achieving a state of mental liberation by letting go of attachments and realizing the impermanent nature of thoughts. Taoism. Wu Wei. Non-action, the concept of effortless action, aligning with the natural flow of life rather than striving against it. Mental freedom. Embracing simplicity and spontaneity, freeing the mind from rigid concepts and expectations. Societal and cultural constructs. Social constructs. Definition: concepts and perceptions created and maintained by society that influence individual thought. Impact: how societal norms and expectations can confine individual thought and behavior. Breaking free. Critical thinking, questioning and challenging societal norms to develop independent thought. Individualism versus collectivism, balancing personal freedom with societal harmony. Philosophical techniques for mental liberation. Socratic method, questioning assumptions, using systematic questioning to dismantle and examine beliefs. Dialogue, engaging in conversations that promote critical thinking and self-reflection. Phenomenology, examining consciousness, studying the structures of experience from the first-person perspective. Bracketing, epiche, setting aside preconceived beliefs to explore the essence of experiences. Practical applications. Philosophical counseling. Definition: a form of therapy that uses philosophical insights and methods to address personal issues. Approaches: utilizing philosophical dialogues and exercises to foster self-awareness and mental freedom. Personal practices. Reflective journaling, writing to explore and analyze one's thoughts and beliefs. Meditation and contemplation, practices aimed at quieting the mind and gaining deeper insights into the nature of thoughts and existence. This framework offers a comprehensive exploration of how philosophical perspectives address the concept of the mind as a prison and propose ways to achieve mental liberation. Would you like to explore any of these areas in more detail? Exploring the mind, the prison house of thoughts, from a spiritual perspective involves understanding how various spiritual beliefs and practices address the limitations imposed by our thoughts and offer paths to mental liberation. Here's a detailed outline. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness. Definition: the practice of maintaining a non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. Mental liberation. Observing thoughts without attachment reduces their power to confine. Meditation. Types of meditation. Vipassana. Insight meditation that focuses on self-observation and the nature of thoughts. Transcendental meditation. Using mantras to transcend ordinary thought processes. Benefits: reduces stress, enhances self-awareness, and fosters a sense of peace beyond the prison of thoughts. Ego versus true self. Ego. Definition: the constructed self-identity based on thoughts, beliefs, and social conditioning. Mental prison. Identifying with the ego leads to a limited and often suffering-filled experience. True self. Definition: the essence of a person that exists beyond the ego, often described as pure consciousness or soul. Spiritual awakening. Realizing the true self involves transcending the ego, leading to liberation from mental constraints. Eastern spiritual practices. Buddhism. Four Noble Truths. Understanding suffering, dukkha, and the path to its cessation. Eightfold Path. Practices like right mindfulness and right concentration to overcome the limitations of the mind. Anatta. Non-self, the concept that there is no permanent self, which can free individuals from attachment to ego and thoughts. Hinduism. Advaita Vedanta. The non-dualistic philosophy that teaches the unity of Atman, individual soul, and Brahman, universal soul. promoting the idea that our true nature is beyond thoughts and ego. Yoga, practices aimed at achieving mental clarity and spiritual enlightenment, including meditation, breath control, pranayama, and ethical disciplines, yamas and niyamas. Western spiritual practices. Christian mysticism. Contemplative prayer. Deep, silent prayer aimed at experiencing God's presence beyond the intellect. Union with God. The goal of transcending individual thoughts and ego to achieve a direct experience of the divine. Sufism, Islamic mysticism. Dhikr, remembrance of God, repetitive chanting or meditation focused on the names of God to transcend ordinary thoughts. Fana, annihilation of the self, the mystical state of losing one's ego and experiencing unity with God. Indigenous and shamanic practices. Shamanism, journeying, techniques involving altered states of consciousness to gain insight and transcend ordinary thought patterns. Soul retrieval, healing practices that address fragmented aspects of the self, often caused by trauma and negative thoughts. Indigenous spirituality, connection to nature, seeing oneself as part of a larger whole, which helps transcend the individual ego and mental constructs. Rituals and ceremonies, practices that foster a sense of community, purpose, and connection to the spiritual world beyond ordinary thoughts. Spiritual techniques for mental liberation. Mantras and affirmations. Mantras, sacred sounds or phrases repeated during meditation to focus the mind and transcend ordinary thoughts. Affirmations, positive statements repeated to oneself to counter negative thought patterns and promote a more liberated mindset. Visualization, guided imagery, techniques that use mental images to promote relaxation and mental clarity, helping to break free from negative thought cycles. Practical applications. Daily spiritual practices. Morning rituals, starting the day with meditation, prayer, or reflection to set a positive tone. Gratitude journaling, writing down things one is grateful for to shift focus from negative thoughts. Spiritual community. Support groups, participating in groups that share similar spiritual practices and values to reinforce positive mental habits. Mentorship, seeking guidance from spiritual mentors or teachers who can provide insights and support on the path to mental liberation. This framework provides a comprehensive exploration of how spiritual perspectives address the concept of the mind as a prison and offer ways to achieve mental liberation. Would you like to delve deeper into any of these areas? Exploring the mind, the prison house of thoughts, through the lens of cultural and societal influences involves understanding how societal norms, media, and cultural expectations shape and sometimes limit our thought processes. Here's a detailed outline. Societal norms and expectations. Definition. Societal norms are the accepted behaviors and beliefs that are expected within a particular society or group. Impact on thought processes. Conformity. The pressure to conform can stifle individuality and critical thinking. Role expectations. Expectations based on gender, age, race, and socioeconomic status can limit one's sense of self and potential. Breaking free. Critical self-reflection. Examining one's beliefs and behaviors to identify areas where societal norms have unduly influenced them. Authenticity. Embracing one's true self and values, even if they differ from societal expectations. Media and information overload. Media influence. Shaping perceptions. How news, entertainment, and social media can shape our perceptions of reality and self-worth. Echo chambers. The phenomenon where individuals are exposed only to information and opinions that reinforce their existing beliefs. Information overload. Mental fatigue. The overwhelming amount of information can lead to stress and difficulty in processing and critically evaluating information. Distraction. Constant media consumption can distract from meaningful thought and self-reflection. Breaking free. Media literacy. Developing the ability to critically analyze and evaluate media messages. Digital detox. Taking regular breaks from media consumption to clear the mind and focus on personal thoughts and goals. Education systems. Traditional education. Standardization. The focus on standardized testing and rote learning can limit creativity and critical thinking. Authority-based learning. Emphasis on teacher authority over student inquiry can discourage independent thought. Progressive education. Critical thinking. encouraging students to question and analyze information rather than passively accept it. Creative expression, valuing creativity and individual expression as part of the learning process. Reform and innovation, inquiry-based learning, educational approaches that promote exploration and questioning. Holistic education, integrating emotional and social learning with academic education to develop well-rounded individuals. Cultural constructs, cultural identity. Definition, the identity or feeling of belonging to a particular culture or group. Impact, cultural identity can provide a sense of belonging but also limit perspectives if not balanced with open-mindedness. Cultural narratives, stories and myths, the shared stories and myths that shape a culture's worldview and values. Impact on thought, these narratives can influence individual beliefs and behaviors, sometimes reinforcing stereotypes and limiting diversity of thought. Breaking free, intercultural exchange, engaging with different cultures to broaden perspectives and challenge cultural assumptions. Personal narrative, crafting one's own narrative that integrates but is not confined by cultural stories. Economic and political systems, capitalism, consumerism. The focus on material success can limit individuals to defining their worth through possessions and status. Competition, emphasis on competition can lead to stress and a mindset of scarcity rather than collaboration and abundance. Political ideologies, polarization. Political ideologies can create us versus them mentalities, limiting open dialogue and understanding. Propaganda, the use of biased or misleading information to influence thought and behavior. Breaking free, economic self-sufficiency, pursuing financial independence to reduce the influence of consumer culture. Political engagement, informed and active participation in the political process to promote balanced and fair policies. Practical applications, personal development, mindfulness practices, techniques to become aware of and detach from societal and cultural influences on thoughts. Continuous learning, seeking out new knowledge and perspectives to challenge and expand one's thinking. Community engagement, support networks, building communities of like-minded individuals who encourage critical thinking and authenticity. Social activism, participating in movements that promote social change and challenge harmful societal norms. This framework provides a comprehensive exploration of how cultural and societal influences contribute to the concept of the mind as a prison and offers strategies for achieving mental liberation. Would you like to explore any of these areas in more detail? Practical applications for achieving mental liberation. Exploring practical applications involves integrating various strategies into daily life to recognize and break free from the mental constraints imposed by thoughts, societal norms, and cultural influences. Here are some detailed practical approaches. Daily practices. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness meditation. Practicing mindfulness meditation daily to observe thoughts without judgment, allowing for greater awareness and detachment from negative thought patterns. Guided meditation. Using apps or recordings to guide meditation sessions focused on releasing limiting beliefs and fostering a sense of peace and clarity. Journaling. Reflective journaling. Writing about daily experiences, thoughts, and feelings to identify patterns and gain insights into one's mental processes. Gratitude journaling. Listing things one is grateful for each day to shift focus from negative thoughts to positive aspects of life. Positive affirmations. Daily affirmations. Repeating positive statements to oneself each day to counteract negative self-talk and build a more empowering mindset. Visualization. Imagining desired outcomes and positive scenarios to reinforce a sense of possibility and break free from limiting beliefs. Cognitive techniques. Cognitive behavioral strategies. Identifying cognitive distortions, recognizing and challenging irrational thoughts and replacing them with more balanced and rational ones. Reframing. Shifting perspective on negative situations to find positive or constructive aspects. Decentering techniques. Observing thoughts. Practicing techniques to observe thoughts as passing events rather than identifying with them. Labeling thoughts. Giving a name to recurring negative thoughts to create distance and reduce their impact. Societal and cultural engagement. Media literacy. Critical consumption. evaluating the sources and content of media critically to avoid being unduly influenced by biased or misleading information. Limiting exposure, setting boundaries on media consumption to reduce information overload and stress. Intercultural exchange, cultural exploration, engaging with different cultures through travel, reading, or participating in cultural events to broaden perspectives and challenge assumptions. Language learning, learning new languages to gain deeper insights into different cultures and ways of thinking. Education and personal development, continuous learning, lifelong education, pursuing formal and informal education opportunities to expand knowledge and stimulate intellectual growth. Reading diverse perspectives, reading books, articles, and papers from a variety of perspectives to challenge and expand one's worldview. Creative expression, artistic activities, engaging in creative activities such as painting, writing, music, or dance to express oneself and explore new ways of thinking. Innovation projects, working on projects that require innovative thinking and problem-solving to break out of conventional thought patterns. Community and social support, support groups, therapeutic groups, joining support groups or therapy groups to share experiences and gain insights from others facing similar challenges. Interest-based groups, participating in groups focused on shared interests or goals to foster a sense of community and support. Mentorship and coaching, seeking mentors, finding mentors who can provide guidance, support, and challenge one's thinking. Life coaching, working with a life coach to set goals, overcome obstacles, and develop strategies for mental liberation. Personal and professional development, goal setting, SMART goals, setting specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals to create a clear path for personal growth. Vision boards, creating visual representations of goals and aspirations to stay motivated and focused. Professional growth, skill development, continuously developing professional skills to enhance career prospects and personal fulfillment. Networking, building and maintaining professional relationships to gain new insights and opportunities. Health and well-being, physical health, exercise, regular physical activity to boost mental health, reduce stress, and improve overall well-being. Nutrition, eating a balanced diet to support brain function and emotional stability. Emotional health, therapy, seeking professional help to address and work through emotional and mental challenges. Self-care, practicing self-care routines that promote relaxation and mental rejuvenation. Spiritual practices, spiritual exploration, meditative practices, engaging in spiritual practices that promote inner peace and mental clarity. Community worship, participating in spiritual or religious communities to gain support and shared purpose. Philosophical inquiry, Socratic method, engaging in dialogues that challenge assumptions and promote deep thinking. Contemplative reading, reading philosophical and spiritual texts to gain insights into the nature of thought and existence. This comprehensive framework offers practical strategies for recognizing and breaking free from the mental constraints imposed by thoughts, societal norms, and cultural influences. Would you like to explore or implement any of these strategies in more detail?